Hey everybody, this is Asher, and it's Free Play Friday, so let's take a look at Starsector, a game that is up for the Viewer's Choice vote on my channel. And Starsector is a game that I've heard described as the best game you've never heard of, and that might actually be true because this game is proudly not on Steam right now. Maybe when it is fully done it will be. It is still in alpha stages, or it still is in development stages, but it's already a very full game in of itself. What is Starsector? The best short description I've heard is that it is Mountain Blade Warband in space. So we're going to kind of dive right into this here. Because it is a game where we're just going to start off making our own person, and I don't really have a great decision on who I want to be because we're not keeping the save, kind of like the other video for the selection here. So we're just going to choose this guy because he's got a funky eyepiece, and his name is Titan Oberon. Oh, wow. Okay, so he just wants to name himself after moons. We could put up Iron Man mode, but we're not necessarily going to do that. Now, there's a few different world generation options, but not too many. The big thing is that there is domain ID, so that if you want to get somebody else's save, you can. We could do normal or small. I guess we'll do small just for generating earlier. And then hotter stars, average, old, or mixed. Different constellations may have different ages. So how this game works is that you follow around your pilot, this person, and you have a squadron of ships with you, and your goal is to essentially survive. So, your most recent occupation, we could be a bounty hunter, a scavenger, and this determines what ships you start with. An explorer leading a salvage expedition, a mercenary leading a small force, or a freelancer doing whatever able job you're able to get, which is a randomized selection of ships, slightly weaker in overall, but faster options, but roughly the same category. So, lots of different options here. And this is a game where what I really do like about Starsector is that it'll dump you into the world. It'll give you kind of some introductory missions, and then it kind of lets you go on your way here. So I'm going to choose an explorer just for fun. We'll do normal difficulty as I have Dog, who is still wanting to whine at me for some reason, even though we've already gone for a walk. So we have an Apogee-class cruiser, a Condor-class light carrier, a Wayfarer-class combat freighter, a Shepherd-class drone tender, a Dram-class tanker, and 18,000 credits. And easy is recommended for a first-time player. We are not easy. And we'll start with the tutorial this time, just because the tutorial is kind of a nice little introduction. I may do this tutorial for the main series as well, just because it kind of gets you on your feet pretty well. Now, this is a game I wanted to do on the channel a while ago, but I tried testing recording it, and my computer wasn't strong enough to record even 2D graphics of games like this. But that's because there ends up being a lot going on the screen. But wow, we have an actual Apogee, one of my favorite ships in the entire game, and we start with it. And then Condor-class carrier. This is everything here. Welcome to the sector. Your fleet is in the middle of nowhere and critically low on supplies. If you don't acquire more supplies, your fleet will suffer. You decide to finish here. So fortunately, there are debris nearby. Move into them and activate your scavenge ability and search for the useful cargo. It's possible to scavenge through the same debris fields multiple times with their diminishing returns and increased risk of ship damage or crew damage with each attempt. Only scavenge once here. Make sure that all the supplies and any other valuable cargo, but feel free to leave the cheap and bulky materials behind. So, welcome. We're in space. And we see up here in space we have, well, we're just going to go ahead and move our fleet by left-clicking. And we can kind of manually control where we're going here. But we do have the scavenge ability available to us. So your fleet assumes a stable orbit around the debris, interestingly, and we are likely to succeed with a low chance of injury. So we begin salvage because we have this amount of crew and this amount of heavy machinery. I'll go into the inventory in just a minute, but how satisfying all the nice little thunks and clunks of the game here. So take all, obviously. We got supplies, which we need, fuel, which we need, heavy machinery, which we need, and metals. We'll need all that. So anything else that I can scavenge here? Maybe. However, see, we're scavenging in. There's a significant risk of, So an accident during the operation resulted in the loss of 3 heavy machinery, but even then, we still get to take everything. So probably not good to keep going in this debris field, because it does all count. Now we have a high risk. You can save, press F5 to quick save. Quick loading is not the same as quick saving. Alright, a pirate fleet is approaching. First you spot the sensor contact, then an identified fleet, and then when it gets very close you'll see its true colors. Don't worry, a pirate ship is a shoddy rust bucket, and if you lose, you can press F9 to quick load. Even so, combat can be expensive, especially if there's no bounty in the enemy you fight. Deploying ships into battle reduces their combat readiness, and recovering the CR supplies. Battle can even do more supplies. So, alright, so there is our radar contact. Let's look at a few things real quick before we get started. So here's my character, Titan Oberon. How cool is that? He's like, sounds like a comic book character name. There's lots of different skills that we can learn. Some are better than others. Some are very good for the beginning. It kind of depends on what strategy you want to lead into on this. Like for instance, well, we'll get into that when we get into that, because honestly, this is one of the things where if we're like managing colonies, eventually we'll want to get this, but there's some of these that are much better for starting out than not. Here's our fleet. Like I said, here's our the ISS Bormoncio, which all of these ships have certain fittings available to them. Like if we look here, this has a missile launcher, another missile launcher, some point defense lasers on the back, some point defense lasers on the front, and then a tactical laser and a mining blaster. And this is actually a pretty strong ship on its own. We also have a little carrier here that actually has some fighter bays, so those will shoot around here. We're not going to be wanting to do too much with the freighter or the drone tender, although it does have some drone tenders here. And then this is our fuel tank buddy. We don't want to send him into combat and all. And all of these ships, except for my starting one here, there's different hulls and mods that we can put in, but those will become available as we progress in the game. One of the things that's a really interesting system in this game too is that if you get ships that are like salvage or like our starting ships here, this little red line means that they have little debuffs, hull features. You can repair to get rid of these, but it usually is prohibitively expensive, and you want to save that for like rare ships. It's kind of like other games where you're eventually going to want to get more ships and better ships. But let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the space combat. Here's our rust bucket fight. So we headbutt into here. We can open a comm link if we want to. If a spacer steals food to feed her family, her comrades, they call it piracy. If that makes me a pirate, then I'd rather be a pirate than some poor fool saluting the phoenix. So there's our happy little fighter here. We're going to move into engage, and we're going to transfer command to ourselves. Now we get to pick the ships that we're going to bring with us. Okay. Flagship is going to be my ship, obviously. Oh wait, I don't want to transfer command. Alright, so we're just going to click continue, and this is where we pick our ships. Now there's a certain amount of deployment that you can put on. So we're just going to deploy, we'll deploy these 3. That'll be fine. We don't want to deploy all. You never want to deploy your tanker if you don't have to. But this is what the combat screen looks like. We have our ships. I'm just going to right-click to have them follow my lead. And then once we hit play, we're going to be moving forward. And then we can press tab to get rid of the map. So look here already. We have drones available, We have our shields that are coming up. And here comes our little pirate buddy. I already have some lasers trained on it. This fight's not going to be too difficult here, but I do need to actually control the ship. And this is where it gets interesting. I don't think I have range boosters on here as well, but if I can get you kind of in range, you see I'm hitting it with lasers now. If I stop thrusting, my shields will eventually come up, but the Cerberus is disabled. So we win. Hooray. So we get 214 credits from CPU core still active in the wreckage, and we get all this wreckage. We just killed the person that was in there, so just too bad. Alright, so your fleet's supply consumption has gone up. Recovering combat readiness used to deploy ships in battle cost supplies. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. We can't just keep fighting. We have to make sure that we have good combat readiness, or our ships will not be nearly as effective. So it really wants us to quick save a few more times. Cool. Alright, so normally you gain 1 character point with each level up, but you gain an additional 3 points at the start of your campaign. And you can go all the way up to level 50. So if we go up here, what's something that we like? There's a few different things here that are pretty good. Now we have combat, leadership, technology, and industry. Industry we're not going to worry too much about until later. Maximum plus warrants and ordnance points is probably pretty safe. And see, some of these will give you extra abilities. Some of these will give you extra specializations. Alright. Alright, let's go for fun here. Oh, that's right. Alright, so if we do 3 points here, gotta remember how this works. And you can only gain like 3 points per turn. So confirm. Huh, this is weird. I should remember how this works. Huh, weird. Let's try that one more time. Alright, so lay a course for this star system. If you don't need to do this travel, but it helps to keep track of where you are. So we press E to go the map, or we can press Tab to go the map. We want to go over to not this debris field, but this system, which you see we have all of this different information here. There is a mining station that's controlled by pirates, and you can see our little star system over here. If we pause it and go to the map here, one of the things that's interesting about Starsector is that it's procedurally generated, but there is its little set of core worlds that are generally the same. And the tutorial starts you off in one specific area. I'm going to try doing this level up one more time. So I'm level 2. I have 3 points in technology here. Alright, well. I will figure this out later. I will be honest, it's been a little while since I played this game. So we're just going to fly up here. We can't even do some speed booster things that maybe I don't want to do before. But we could always, like if we click here, lay in a course. And it's pretty far away. It'll take a while to get there at this rate. We can do sustain burn or an indirection pulse. So sustain burn, as we just fly through some asteroids here, is pressing and holding shift. And you'll see our little speed meter up here goes up. So that's going to get us there a little bit faster. There we go. Wrong buttons all around. How embarrassing. The fleet's getting closer, which is controlled by the Homogeny, a major militaristic faction in the sector, while the Homogeny space of space fleet is required to lay by law to identify itself by keeping its transponder turned on. This is a view shared by most, but not all of the major factions. Turning on the transponder makes your fleet highly visible, and everyone seeing it will know who you are, unlike that pirate fleet that you fought earlier, which you had to be very close to identify. So we're going to turn on our transponder like some lawful little citizens here. And we're just going to keep autopiloting. So there's a relay. There's the star. And we're going to be met by somebody who's going to fly into us. You're being hailed by the Homogeny fleet. Unknown fleet, identify yourself. Running with the transponder off in Homogeny spaces against the law. You're hereby ordered to turn on your transponder and submit to a cargo scan. I thought I already turned on the transponder. But we could try to fight them, but I'm not going to. You should order activate the transponder and wait for the scan. After a brief wait, the homogeny security attachment transmit the scan results. No contraband or suspicious cargo on board, because if you buy stuff from the black market, you can get scanned and have it taken, or be thrown in space jail instead. So this security department, they have us outgunned. So we're just gonna leave. It says, if I catch you running off the transponder again, you won't get off so easily. The homogeny are known as kind of the butts of Starsector. They're the all law-abiding rule sector thing. But this is your planet interaction. There's no landing on like planets per se. You can see who's over here. We actually have a mercenary officer that is technically recruitable. So what can he do? He's a reckless personality, level 2, and we can hire him for 2,000 credits. Sure, for the sake of this, let's go ahead and do it. We can go ahead and look at this place here. Now, the thing about the black market is that everything's cheaper at the black market, and sometimes they have things like recreational drugs or other specs here, such as turret gyros, converted hangar mod spec, and those will teach you things that will later get you up here. Also food, which is something that we can potentially supply, versus the open market. But of course, that's not all that is sold at these kind of places. We also have, okay, resources, ship, weapons, we're all there. If we end up going to the fleet button, we can actually go from our selling area, and I think we can actually go ahead and put our wing commander on here. There we go. I really need to figure out how to get those other things here. We can buy ships. Now, not a lot of ships here just yet. Okay, it probably just hasn't unlocked the ability to assign those points. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. But most important thing you can do in a space game like this is go to the bar. You take the shuttle down the main course. You enter the crowded, well-lit space and take the rows of tapestry walls under there. And everyone's just enjoying their freedom. We can consider our military options. We shouldn't consider our military options, but you can attack a base. So, if we leave here, we do have a quest here, though. Like if we look at our, forget if it's, it should be our intel button here. We have contact station commander Grant Ganymede. So that goes back up to the comm relay, and we have, you've come, excellent. As well, you are well aware, recently we suppose we can skip that part. So we could do a refresher on recent events, or the situation is more than less ideal. Pretty much what he's going to say is we've been running experiments on the dormant gate in the system, trying to connect back to the domain's gate network, which is how you can go from planet to planet. Promising experiments, or so we thought, until an energy pulse. We expected to get a response from the gate to stabilize the jump points leading to the system, cutting us off from the rest of the sector. Oh no, it's rather like how the sector is cut off from the domain. Well, writ small, the stars have a sense of irony, do they not? The miners of the station over there, which is also located in the system, was operating near the subsistence level, were hit the hardest. They turned to piracy, intercepting one of the last food shipments to come in out of desperation, no doubt. But there were deaths, and they'll put themselves well outside the law. Their leaders know that if the jump points are stabilized and the system is once again part of the sector, they can look forward to a life sentence at a penal colony at absolute best. So he's asking us to decide if we want to go ahead and fight these pirates, or if we want to do something else. We have a security attachment that can handle their forces, but they're tied up defending this planet here. The pirates are too much for you to take on, but fortunately you don't have to. We've got an agent on the station who is able to gain access to the recent sensor readings from the ships guarding the jump points, but they have not been able to get a long-range comm array. That's where you come in. Head to the station and retrieve the data point from us. Ask, what's in it for me? A mercenary. Some credits, naturally, with more along the way, and if all goes to plan, we'll be able to reconnect with the rest of the sector, such as it is. So the plan, first off, make sure to turn off your This guy's literally telling me to turn off the transponder once you undock. I've instructed the security detachment not to give you any trouble about that. If you're lucky, the pirates may even think you're one of their own and let you approach the station without any trouble. Still, it makes sense to go dark as you go closer. So when you're in trouble, activate the emergency burn to get out of there, lose them, and come back around and try again. Don't e-burn unless you really need to, though. It's hard on the ships, and it will cost more supplies. So we cut the comm link. I don't think there's anything else we need to trade right now. We have enough supplies to get through the tutorial, probably. Probably. So we need to sneak into the station here. Alright, so we have cut this off. We have our Go Dark ability, but if we look at our map here, that's not the map we want. Map is over here. Alright, so right now we're flying over here. We have a gate that's inactive. And there are these do orbit around just a little bit. So you're going to see the orientation of this change. But where we want to go to is this pirate station. So what's probably best to do here is to go ahead and get our momentum in a certain direction. Our transponder's off. Somebody's going to sniff us out, though. So 4 is E-burn. I got to remember that. So we're going dark. Look at how slow we're going now. We can't see anything that's around us. We're just flying in a heap. There's our little ships just going back and forth and left and right. We actually don't have a ton of fuel right now. I do kind of want to check out that debris field, but this is more important here. So yeah, the long dark. We can kind of thrust ourselves in a certain direction. But if I were to light up here, a pirate might recognize me, which is pretty exciting. So here's the mining station. We made it. The pirates are on the other side. So your fleet approaches the station. A local port authority seems to take no issue with your explanation for why your transponder regrettably can't be turned on. So pirates can be friends. You can actually buy and sell from the pirates just like anybody else. I find it hilarious that the pirates have a black market. This place does have a population of tens of thousands in the station, but its stability is pretty low. So like everything is a colony with colony info here. These are all systems that come up later because you can actually, one of sort of the end game goals in this game is forming your own colony, which is kind of the what I like to do here. But all right, it's gonna let me do that later. That's got to be it. All right, so fleet, do they have any interesting pirate ships for sale? Not really. All right. Well, while we're here, we don't need to worry about refitting just yet. I guess I can buy some fuel. They don't have fuel for sale. Oh no. Well, that's fine. Let's go to the comm directory, and we have our agent, Luna Europa. Hey, she has a name like mine. She's an independent, which is a different faction. You open the comm and you transmit the comms ID and wait for the system to establish connection. And we are talking to the agent. The agent then transmits a data file with recent raw sensor readings of the unstable jump points. So we have what we need. We go to the bar. Why not? Look, it's a pirate bar. And it's dark and filled with shouts, sweat, and pulsing music. Everyone on the surface is pitted and stained by rough spacers, banging their mugs and laughing as a couple of pirate crews posture for a fight. You can only assume that one of the heavily augmented bouncers will spoil the fun before weapons are drawn. Gangsters and pirate captains watch the scene smugly from smoke-filled booths in the back. Tell me how that's not different from other places here, but we have an actual pirate fleet over there. So we do have the info. They saw us, so they're trying to find us. Which I really like the AI in this game for that. So we are just going to be the salvaging crew that's trying to salvage. We got a little bit of fuel. Alright, so our intel now. Deliver the station commander grant over here, so I think we're probably far enough away that we can just fly, fly, fly. Nobody's going to come chasing after us if they really... Oh, we're E-burning right now. Whoops. We just want to do a sustained burn. That was a mistake. But the nice thing about that mistake is you can see this little counter down here that says our supplies and how they're doing. So I guess we really wanted to get the hell out of Dodge. But there's our gates. There's not a lot we can do yet. We can salvage here. You're going to see that I like to salvage a lot if I do continue running this into a series, but... Alright. It's coming back to me slowly. We have our transponder on you, dingus. Alright, so comm relay. Back to this guy, and we got our little quest reward here. And we improved relationships and got money. So, a chime in the background, and he looks concerned. Is there a problem? Yes, the system estimates it takes about a cycle to analyze the data and come up with a stabilization algorithm. Naturally, by then the data would be out of date and any algorithm based on it, so it's meaningless. If we had an AI core on hand, we could analyze the data more quickly. Fortunately, there's a survey probe somewhere in the system, one left over from the initial exploration of the sector of the domain. It should have at least one AI core serving as its brain, which there is a big, giant backstory in Starsector. But one of the issues is that the big problems that's happened in this game is, at least in part, because of artificial intelligence responsibilities and artificial intelligence kind of deciding destroy all humans. This is kind of the after effect of that, which means that people are wary of artificial intelligence, ironically, especially the homogeny. So it means something that Mr. Ganymede is asking for it. So why hasn't it been salvaged before? To answer your second, where is it? Why hasn't it been salvaged before? To answer your second question, domain artifacts are usually protected by automated defenses that still function to this day, and this probe is no exception. And the homogeny generally forbids civilian interference with domain artifacts for the sake of public safety, of course. Desperate times, however. So we need to go stabilize the jump point, retrieve the AI core from the derelict probe, and we can activate our sensor burst as well. So while we're here, I think I don't need to buy that much fuel. You can left click and slide this around. I should technically be doing most of my fuel purchases from the black market, but we're not going to do that yet. And there's a white bar on the bottom left that says I can only hold so much of this, and I'm not going to spend all my money. This is actually a terrible price for supplies. Anything else like the black market? They don't even have a black market. Yeah, they have a black market. So 102 per unit versus, well, it's the same price. What kind of market is that? All right, so if we go back to our map here, what is our destination? So go to Pontus, head towards the asteroid belt, and then use the activate sensor burst. So where's Pontus, you might ask? It's the gas giant over there. So we're flying, and we're doing a sustained burn right now. I usually fly manually. I could just set a course if I really wanted to. And activating a sensor burst is 3. Okay. So you see everything kind of moves. It reminds me of Distant Worlds in a lot of ways. Like for all the moving around in the space flights, so nothing there, the sensor burst. You see that totally knocked us out. But there's the gas giants. Primary composed of hydrogen and helium. The temperature of the pressure of the core is extreme, but not enough to sustain the deuterium fusion that would turn this planet into a brown dwarf star. So what they said was to go towards the asteroid belt, not the ring here. So let's try to go there. We have some pings. You can see on the mini-map on the left that we have some automated systems available, and they show an unidentified entity. And it's a domain-era probe. An example of one of the countless thousands of robot probes sent out into the galaxy by the domain to find new resources to exploit. Some variants are produced by automated motherships. This specimen appears to be inactive, pitted by small impacts. Its hull displays iridescence from fearsome radiation scarring. This probe's manufacture could well date 1,000 cycles ago. So let's tap it. So explore the probe, and it has auto defenses here. We have 3 little turrets. Let's engage. We're not going to transfer command. We're just going to continue. So we do have enough ships here. And once again, we're going to have you guys follow. One of the goals of having some other crew members is that they will be a little better at flying. And I do want to check something real quick. And I hate doing this here, but it bugs me that I don't remember. Vent flux is V. X or hold fire. Accelerate. There's a way you turn on shields as well, but I can't remember exactly what. Toggle shields and phase cloak is right click. Okay. So like, we will go this way, and we already have some missiles automatically firing. If I right click though, I'm going to slow down just a little bit. But we can fire through our shields. But you see the other thing that's going on here? We actually need to keep this ship in our cone. But one of the really nice things about this ship in particular is that it does have a 360-degree shield. Which is one of the reasons I like it, but... See, we have our other crew member here who's doing his best. Okay, we don't need to vent anything yet. So there's our ship. Just want to check this one more time. What was fire the missiles? Because I hit the wrong button here. We're going to need to know it for next time, though. So fire selected weapon group is left click. Oh, I need to change weapon groups. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay. That would be why. Alright, so we get to pick through the wreckage, and what do we get? Well, I don't see an AI core there. As your fleet finishes mopping up the automated defenses, a weak hyperwave ping is detected coming from the probe. It's unclear if this is a random noise from a dying subsystem or some kind of encrypted signal. Your fleet finishes the approach to the domain error probe without further incident. So, that was the loot from the fight. Now we get to salvage this. And you're going to find sometimes stuff that's wandering around in space. It could be protected by AI stuff. There's even stuff that's on planets that could be protected by AI stuff. But we do finally have a Gamma core, which is the lowest level of an AI core available. Made up for lack of creativity and problem-solving ability with prodigious computational powers, assigning a Gamma to aid human overseers in administering a colony-wide industry brings sufficient benefits. Which is interesting because if you try to equip your colony with an AI, the homogeny will come to get you. There we go. I don't know why it wasn't letting me do this before. Okay. Need more character points. Alright. Okay, I will figure this out later. Alright. And we can actually salvage this one more time if we want to. There's significant risk, but usually it's worth it. Alright. So this is kind of the gameplay loop to a point. Let's go ahead and get back there a little bit faster though, because I do want to try and do the one more thing that's kind of in the tutorial that I think is pretty neat. We've seen some of the combat. We've seen, this is a lot of mission running, although it's not all mission running. We've gone by a star, we've gone by a gas giant. It's like a fun little class field trip. We just need the magic school bus now. We have our happy little ships with their happy little chemtrails. And we have stars that, that star will damage you if you get close to it. Some stars you can get a lot closer to. Black holes will tear you apart, and if you fly into them, rip them up. Pulsars or neutron stars will actually fire their pulse at you, and will tear you apart. So it's a lot of fun. Alright, come to you. Hooray. So we lost a Gamma core. We kept one for ourselves, though. So I'll send you this stabilization algorithm when the core works up. Once you have it, it should be a simple matter of running it with your fleet's drive field. As a means of interacting with the jump point, however, there's another matter. The miners regarding both the jump points of the system. Well, it's all relative. Our security attachment can handle them easily, but as I've mentioned, it's defending this place. Your fleet, on the other hand, might be able to handle them with some stellar plating and a bit of luck. It's best not to take such chances, especially when there's an alternative. And the alternative is there's a ship graveyard around Tetra. Ships that were deemed not worth the effort to restore awaiting bulk transit from one of the ship breaking facilities somewhere. Now, they'll serve our needs. So you'll need to transport to them somehow. Here, take this mud skipper transport. Consider it part of your rewards. So we got another ship on our fleet. So if we hit the fleet button, where's our mud skipper? That's not it. Anyway. Alright. So this is a little tugboat. But it also has a civilian grade hull. So you don't want to deal with that. Tugs are pretty important because there's some ships that you get, if they're mothballed or worse, you can't actually take them at speed. But we do want to go down here. because this is another part of the game that I really like. And one of the things that sets Starsector apart from maybe some other games out there that's similar to this genre is that there are ships that you can salvage and form into your fleet. And it's not just something that happens from time to time, it's a core part of the game. So, like if we go over here, this is a Taurus-class freighter drifting through space. We can explore it, begin salvage. So we can't actually take that. There's a Condor-class light carrier. Condors are pretty good. Its derelict drifting through space is better, though determining whether it's recoverable requires a closer examination. So we can consider ship recovery. This thing right now is kind of trashed. We will need to use some supplies to get this going, and then we'll need some more supplies for later. It only takes 42. So yeah, we're definitely taking the Condor. Some ships in your fleet are dangerously low on combat readiness. Deploying these ships in combat will cause damage, which is fine. That's exactly what we expect from this here. If we try to go to Tetra, the barren world here, look at this. We get all kinds of experience for discovering derelict ships. We could try to establish a colony here. Not very good, though. Sparse ore, no atmosphere, cold, and we don't have 1,000 crew, 100 heavy machines and stuff here. Plus, the homogeny won't exactly like us trying to settle in their territory, but we could. So, a wolf. I like wolves. So we're just going to use some supplies to recover that. Buffalo. Okay, buffalo's not going to be gettable. And like I said, a lot of these ships are just kind of small. A dram. Sure, I guess. I mean, we're just kind of clicking through this real quick. Lasher frigates, which we can't recover here, so we just salvage. But yeah, what makes Starsector interesting to me is the fact that you start out pretty much like this with not a lot. And this is actually, what I have right now is the best start I've ever had in this game, which is starting with such a big, beastly ship. Oh, a hammerhead. This is typically what they would say, hey, in the early game tutorial, take your hammerhead and fly with it, because the hammerhead has a really good weapons loadout. I'll show that here in just a second since we got a little bit of time. But yeah, we have some ordnance points left for this. Like the hammerhead, if we look over here, his ship has suffered extreme damage, but we're trying to get it back together. We can scuttle it, we can mothball it, we can suspend repair and recovery, or we can suspend repairs and recovery. We don't want to do that. We're going to be spending supplies to do that. But this one only has one minus here, and that is that armor is reduced by 20, hull integrity reduced by 20. But what this ship does have is some very good weapons here. If we zoom in a little bit closer, it has 2 missile hard points and 2 kinetic hard points up front, and then some turret spaces up here. So the nice thing about the hammerhead is it'll just let you pew 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 forward. Let's see, dram, not very exciting. The wolf is actually pretty fast, and that's the thing that I really like about it, is that you can load some good weapons on it, and it's pretty fast. The Condor has fighters that you can add to it, and this is one of the earliest ways to get it. But yeah, I mean, it's not the best and brightest yet, but if you do take the time to actually recover and repair your ships, yeah, you can do some damage and maybe even save the sector here, or just not just this one sector. Like I said, there is so much more out there. And see, like there's a neutron star. It doesn't take too long. If you get enough fuel tankers with you, you can like fly all around to, like, there's a black hole, there's red dwarf, more red giants, brown dwarf, lots of black holes. There is sort of a thing that's similar to other games where farther stuff out is more dangerous to get to, but more rewarding. But there's some nice surprises out there too, so you can play the game of whack-a-mole for sure. But we'll just go ahead and finish up here and say, speaking of weapons, welcome back. A bunch of rust buckets, aren't they? But with some weapons on them, you had a proper refit done, and with a dedicated crew, they'll be all right. It's no worse than what the pirates have got at any rate. So what does he say here? Yeah, I was just about to talk to you about that. Not as much to buy in the open market, but we have some stores. I already ordered local storage space to be assigned to you and some of the suitable weapons transferred there, along with enough supplies to speedily bring the new ships back to full readiness. Using the outfit your new ships, make sure you've got enough crew to fulfill the crew compartment of every ship, and then break the rogue miner defenses at the inner jump points. So once this is over, press R to refit. And we can try to auto fit. And now you have access to local storage at there, and you can put some weapons in the place. All right, so he's also used the AI to figure out how to stabilize things. But like we can go here, we have these are obviously not like best weapons ever, but it's the kind of thing that's a pretty good start. There's different damage types and all sorts of stuff. We don't have a lot of like stuff here, but this is some better goods. Like ion beam's good, IR pulse laser really good. And I can kind of go into why for a lot of these things, but they won't get too mad if we look at the black market for stuff technically. But once we do that, I mean, here's the other thing about these ships and our crew and everything, is that each of these ships do require a certain number of crew, and I would need to buy some more here. Like right now, oh, maybe not. We have, okay, where's our crew sheet here? I should know this. I know it's been a little while, but it hasn't been that long. We have 487 crew. I guess technically we're okay. But yeah, I'm going to have to cut this here, unfortunately, just before the pirate fight. Why? But there's kind of a taste of Starsector to a point. If this is a game you want me to do a series on for the viewer's choice, by all means, let me know in the comments. Make sure you vote in the poll, make your voice heard. Like this video if you like Starsector or want to see more about it. It's a game I've played a lot. Obviously, it's been a little while since I played, so I got to remember some of the buttony things, but by the time we do a full series, we'll get to that. But yeah, fun to do a double feature for Free Play Friday. I look forward to whatever game you all decide me to throw my hat at. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. We will do this again in the near future. Take care.